Hola, mi gente, and we're live. Joe Barreto with you from the Credit Card Connection Studios on an earlier broadcast from Hackensack, New Jersey. Mi gente, thank you for coming in so early today. But you know, if it's early, it has to be for a special reason, and that's because I got my man here, Calvin Russell from 850 Club Credit in La Casa with us today. I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank Chad, Money Minutes, my channel members, Miguel Santiago, Papichulo from Palm Coast, Xavier coming in hot already out the box with a super chat. Thank you, Xavier, Papi. I appreciate you, Mr. 1099. I hope all of you are doing well. Calvin, you know, I really appreciate you, brother. I want to thank you for, you know, helping me out tremendously the last couple of months. I want to thank you for offering to come back on so quickly. You were so sought after by so many people, and I'm super psyched to have you back. How you doing, puppy?
Doing good, man. How about yourself?
Good. Well, you know, you just told me right before we came on, mi gente, a big shout out and a happy birthday to the man himself, whose birthday was September 15th, and he's 26.
Right, I wish. Yeah, man. Give me some time.
Happy birthday, Calvin. God bless you, puppy. I really wish you the best. You know, I hope you enjoyed it and you had it a blast. So thank you really so much, man. So Calvin, let's talk. You want to jump into what we said what came out today to start, and then we'll take it from there?
Yeah, man. Major news. I'll let you talk about it, but yeah, major news coming out with you know, with Apple Card. And as we all know, they have left Goldman Sachs. That alone, of course, we know about that. But I mean, that was huge because it was such a short period of time, especially with Goldman Sachs' first credit card. But now that they're tinkering around and thinking that, you know, they're going to be changing banks, I'll let you take over from there so people can see who that bank is going to be potentially.
No, well, that bank, I mean, we were talking about this off camera.
Yeah.
And that bank right now looks to be Chase. Chase came out of nowhere. And right now, they're really pursuing the Apple Card to become their issuer. There's several concessions that they're looking for Apple to make in terms of how Apple does its due dates and its statement dates and things like that, which seem to have been causing an issue with Goldman Sachs, the way Apple rolls it out, I guess, on their app and the way that they, you know, mail out the stuff to their customers. But it looks like they're coming in hot. So imagine when we thought the Apple Card was dead, to have Chase, what does that mean? Because you do this, I don't do the banking stuff. What does it mean for a card like that to get the backing or being sought after by Chase?
I think it's a good look. It makes the Apple Card seem more serious, in my opinion. For, you know, when the Apple Card first came out, it was with a credit card. It was with a finance company, a bank rather, that has never had a credit card that was a popular one at that. And then so for Apple, a brand name on their own, they really didn't even need to have the financial backing of a Goldman Sachs. They could have went anywhere, you know, but it didn't do well as best as they thought it would. I think it's more so the time that it just came out. I think, you know, pandemic, post-pandemic, also people going into credit card debt. So that played a role as well. But it got to be it. I think it makes more sense because Chase knows how to minimize risk. You know, I know some people that have Apple credit cards. I know some people that should not have been approved for those credit cards because, you know, had it gone through Chase, if it had it gone through like just regular, normal Chase, you know, approval process, they wouldn't have been approved. But since, you know, Goldman Sachs was trying to be, you know, I won't say trying to be too strict, but you go from not having any credit card customers at all. Chase has had credit card customers for years, you know, so versus Goldman Sachs, this is new to them. And then for them to go up, I mean, they went into like the perfect roller coaster. Everybody's all excited, and then no one's paying their credit cards, you know. So in a span of 3 to 4, you know, years, that's a lot to deal with. And I think, like, you know, Chase just has more experience with something like that. So I think it's a good move for them. It's also a good bounce back for Apple. I know a lot of people been talking about AI and things like that, so people feel like they're kind of behind in that realm of things. So it's exciting to see where this is going to go. Is my take on it.
I love your take on it because I remember when the card came out, was it like 2019? Right?
Yeah, I think 19 or 22. Yeah, very close to 2020.
And I remember my son, and his college roommate, his best friend Jude, both applied for the card. Two
Yeah.
broke college students
Mm-hmm. Shouldn't have gotten
getting
approved.
$10,000 credit limits.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, how is this even real life? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
They
like
shouldn't have been. Yeah. Shouldn't have been approved for that. And not in a bad way. Don't get me wrong. I know you want that to be the buzz because that works well for Navy Federal, right? Navy Federal hits you with 10K, 15K, 20K, 25K. They barely know you. But they blew up. But then anytime things like that happen, you have the backlash, that comes with that. So, and it also, as a credit card, had pretty good perks as well, too. Pretty good perks, and but again, it just I think it was more so just timing. I don't think it's nothing. I don't think it was Goldman Sachs' fault. I think maybe the expectations could have been wrong, but I think it was just more so the timing, so they just happened. Had they done this 2 years earlier, they would have enjoyed it a little bit better. I think majority of their time has been in the red, versus had they kicked this off 2016, 2017, 2018, it would have been a different ball game. But for you to go right into the pandemic, people were swiping more than what they should have. They were approving people. I mean, come on, you just said it, 10 grand to a college student. It just doesn't make sense.
it was comical.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And so that's where they are. They say no, but you know what? As Apple just trying to do what Apple does best, and trying to brand themselves and saying, hey, because if you use the card, you're constantly reminding people Apple, Apple, Apple. So there's a lot that goes behind that.
Wow. I mean,
yeah.
And I have Seabass here. Seabass, thank you for coming through. I appreciate it. It's not a bad card. My issue I had with the card was more aesthetics, I guess, because they're flexing a titanium card that was supposed to be so beautiful and everybody wanted it because it was a heavy card, but they didn't give you the same multipliers. They punished you for using it instead of just using tap to pay with your phone, which I thought was just dumb. Like I'm more old school. I don't want to go and tap to pay and use my phone. If it's a pretty card, especially, I'm going to use a card. But I do see where Seabass says, you love the app, and I think the app was. If they could use that app on a lot of other products with different companies, it would be amazing because it's a super easy app, really intuitive, and the aesthetically looks great. So I get it. But, the card itself for me, other than buying stuff for Apple, I just didn't see the being able to pay it off over a year or whatever without interest was great. But that's it. I didn't see the real big thing to it. It didn't do anything for me. Or I didn't have the use of it to get the good multipliers,
Exactly.
So. But
exactly.
No, and so I have Vincent here. Vincent, how you doing? Vincent, it was actually great. Vincent is one of the best subscribers out there. We were on a call. He's in California Sunday night, like at 10 o'clock Eastern time. Vincent, it was a pleasure. Vincent says, I left my Apple card in the box, so it'll be pristine years from now.
Listen, it'll be worth some money.
It's true.
Apple always has value.
No, without a doubt, but tell me now, Calvin, talk to the people and tell them what else we spoke about prior to coming on. What is it that really resonated with you today?
Some crazy news broke out that just happened. A lady found out that over 35 people were added to her credit cards as authorized users, and we'll break down with those, of course, what that means, things of that sort, what you could do to try to slow that down. But either way, she found out that 35 people were added to her credit cards as authorized users, and she had no idea. So I just went live on my channel about this as well. And just the fact that it happened is one thing, but the next thing is the fact that, our information is out there. And, a lot of people think, let me tell you something, to add someone on your credit card as an authorized user, you only need the credit card login. That's all you need. You don't need a social, right? So now, don't get me wrong, you do need a social of the person that's information looking to be added. But here, let me take a couple steps back. Why are people doing this? Let me start off there. Number one, when you're adding someone to your credit card as an authorized user, the main account holder, the person who owns the account, that history is added to the person being added to the credit card. So let's say, for example, Joe has a credit card. Joe adds me on add to his credit card. I am the authorized user. Joe is the primary account holder. Okay. However, in this particular case, I'm added to Joe's credit card and he would not know it. So there's two ways to be added on as an authorized user. Way number one is calling the financial institution, calling the credit card company and saying, hey, I want to add someone to my credit card as an authorized user. Way number two is simply going online. And that's what they did. They essentially hacked into her credit card login. Does not take, anything that doesn't take much information to do this. No different than logging into your Facebook, your email. This is the same thing. And they logged in and they started adding people as an authorized user. Now you're probably saying, well, why do people do this? As we all know, some of you all may call this piggybacking back in the day, where you would essentially be added to the credit card. Let's go back to the same example. Joe has the credit card. He's a primary account holder. I am the authorized user. That credit card's history, payment history, balance, okay, how old the card is shows up now on my credit report. That typically increases the credit score, okay? And we've been doing this for years. It's been called piggybacking, right? You do it for your friends. You may do it for your family. That's what it's made for, mainly family. The banks do this in hopes that the person, like, let's say, for example, you have a credit card, you add your kids on as an authorized user. They hope that the kid racks up the debt, and then of course now they hope that you miss payments. That this is how they make money. That's the real goal. That's the real goal. But all the added stuff was crazy. And here's the crazy part. So as we all know, there's a term in the credit world called trade line, and technically, any account on your credit report is a trade line. So when credit reports first came out in the late 80s, mid to late 80s, this is exactly what they were talking about. They wanted to make sure that people knew if they have an auto loan, that is a trade line. If they have a credit card, that is a trade line. They have a personal loan, that is a trade line. Anything that reports to your credit report where you're borrowing money, paying it back, is that the data line, the code line is called a trade line. And so that's where the slang comes from. It's nothing but an authorized user. However, people pay to be added on as authorized users nowadays. It's not uncommon, and so some companies actually made millions of dollars doing this. They got shut down around the pandemic. It operates in a gray area. It's a gray area because the banks, they don't hate that people do it. They don't like that they can't make money off of it. So American Express, they just get straight to the money. They say, hey, listen, you can add whoever you want. You just got to pay us, right? But they don't like how people are turning it into a business. And that's what people are doing. So at first, you were doing things like, let's say I call Joe. I say, hey, Joe, I got about 5 people. They want their credit score improved, a bit quicker. Can we add, if every person that we add to your credit card, I'll pay you $100. And I charge the people $200. I keep 100. Joe keeps it 200. That's pretty much how it goes, right? And whatever that number is. Now, in this case, they did that and made money, but this lady had no idea. So they're assuming that if they're going after people. So if you're over 50, if you're watching this right now, you're over 45, you're over 50, you're over 55, you're over 60. They're looking at a few things. One, they're looking to see if you got a decent credit score. But they don't too much care about that because that can fluctuate. They're more so caring about your credit card because a good credit score usually leads to a good credit card, which means you have a good balance, which is under 30% utilization typically. It has flawless payment history, or the last late payment was older than 4 years, right? And they're looking to see if it's got a little age on it as well too. In the credit card trade line world, a card that's 20 years old, 15 years old, you can sell that for $1,000, $1,500. People pay for that. Easy. $700. They pay for that just to have a seat on that. And that's what happened to this lady. So these people, they already got what they came to get. They're already good. And it's crazy. But in some form, shape, way, or fashion, technically it's not fraud, but it is stealing someone's information as far as logging in and doing it without her knowing. But it's things like that that's going to make things more difficult because now banks have to put something in place, because if this happens more and more, they're going to make it a little bit more difficult for the authorized user process, even if you want to add your daughter or your son, as an example.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Sorry.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that because, I've added people that, my brother-in-law, my
family,
son,
friends.
my wife.
It's normal.
And you know, and they don't really ask you for a lot. Like
They
I just
don't.
need. They'll tell you you could send us your info, your social security number later.
Yeah, right.
You know, which is bizarre.
Yeah,
because I can't get the card without giving them my social up front.
Yeah, they'll find you. Sometimes they don't need much, but a lot of times, and we just talked about that too. A lot of times they just need first name, last name, and the thing is that with on your credit report, a lot of times soft pull is on the rise. So which means them knowing what your information is, really more so your credit information, without having to do a hard pull. So our information is out there, you know. Anyway, you know, just for soft pull approvals. Anytime you get a credit card offer in the mail, they're not guessing that your credit score is good. They know it. They're not hoping you can get approved. They have based on what they have in their system. There's a good, if you can answer the questions the right way, and you know, and your credit still looks the same way as it did when they first made the offer. I mean, when they looked at the information to even send the offer, saying that to say they don't need much. They need a first name, last name, social, sometimes a date of birth, but you can do this online. So if a person just needs your information to log into your credit card information. Just if you log into an app or anything like that, they don't need much. Some of these apps allow you to add authorized users just through the app.
Wow,
crazy, man. Yeah.
Well, and here's Sylvia saying, "I just signed on and saw that someone has never owned an Apple product. Have I entered the matrix?"
I know, right? Yeah. Apple, you know, Apple is convenience. You know, Google is always going to be the best product out there, but Apple is convenience. You know, when you, like, for example, you have an iPhone and you have a MacBook, and, you know, just something as simple as copy and paste from one device to the next is insane to me. AirDrop, it's more so convenience. But, you know, like going back to the Apple Card, it's just a brand name, you know. So, but that'd be a good lift for Chase, especially with Capital One about to take market share. You know, people always get, you know, upset at the beginning when something's about to happen, like with the whole Capital One and Discover merger. People always get mad at the beginning, but now that we're further into it, people have forgotten about it and moved on, and we've got mad at other things. We've got mad at, you know, all the cats and dogs being eaten lately. So, you know. We got more important things.
Is upstairs saying, "Please, Daddy, don't leave me here."
The stuff is crazy out here, man. But anyway,
Lizzo says, "If you don't dot your I's and cross your T's, you might get shut down like that Greek fella."
Yeah, listen, for real. Yeah, for real. A lot of people being shut down.
Sledge is here. Sledge wanted to be here longer, but Sledge is wine tasting today.
Oh, must be nice. Must be nice.
Yeah.
Listen, we were just talking about unnecessary credit card perks. That's one of them. Just going to wine tastings for no reason. This is what you guys do. This is what you guys do. You know, you practice your WAPUS, and then you go use your, and then you.
Wow. You know, I'm gonna put them. If your ears were burning,
yeah,
Labor Day weekend,
yeah,
he put you on blast.
I'm sure
he told everybody, "You're now known as 0.65."
Oh, good to know. Good to know. Good to know. Okay, it's all good.
As MR says, as long as you don't put ketchup on that dog or cat, you're good from us.
Man, that's it. That's it. That is it. Okay.
Oh wait, now Sledge is correcting me. It's a Scotch tasting. I'm sorry.
Gotcha. See?
Excuse me.
There you go. That's where we need to be, man. That's where we need to be.
You know, and here's Sylvia again. Sylvia's wonderful. Sylvia always joins us. She's like,
yeah,
I have an Apple card. I got it a few years ago when I bought a MacBook and didn't know anything about credit cards.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because Sylvia always comes through for us here on the channels, and
awesome.
She knows a lot. She doesn't want to own it, but she does. So.
Yeah. Listen, a lot of the people that watch, man, they do, you know, there are a lot of people that just drop gems and they have no idea that they're doing so, you know, or educating people, you know, and because a lot of people don't know a lot of this stuff, man, you know, especially out here. Look at what Kevin's talking about. He says it sounds like a Ponzi scheme for sure. I mean, a little bit. Well, so the thing about it, like, for example, a Ponzi scheme is really where you're selling something that really has no value and then people just pay to get in. The problem is that typically the trade line process typically goes like as it should. You have the person that's that's the bridge or the business essentially, and they say, "Hey, do you want to be on someone's credit card?" They say yes, and I'm willing to pay for it. Okay, great. Here's $500, and they say, "Hey, remember you said it was okay for me to add someone to your credit card or whatever?" Yeah, sure, great. All right, here's $150. You collected $500, you paid out $150. Now that's $350 profit. So now don't get me wrong. This is why banks don't like it. because people have turned it into something that was supposed to be like, more in almost, I don't want to say intimate, but something that's supposed to be like with family, just friends, people like and trust, has turned into a business. And a lot of people were talking about during the pandemic. It was turn your credit into cash, and that went viral. So a lot of that, it makes it difficult, because it's like banks are like, this is not why we're wanting you guys to do this, because now you got people looking like a 700 credit score when they're really at 520, and then they give them that low interest rate, and then they give them that $20,000 pre-approval, and then they do with the $20,000 credit card as they did with the $500 credit card. It's maxed out, it's charged off, and their credit scores back to 500, and it goes back in this circle again. So yeah,
and
crazy.
if you remember, last week when I was recording with you before,
Yeah,
we were talking about getting credit, helping people with no credit or new to the country, and this is a good tool to have if you have someone new to the country that you want to help, right? Because it's hard for them to get on their feet and get the credit. And I've helped people with as an authorized user, because all the things you mentioned, I have the credit score, the credit history, the length on one credit card, the multiple loans and this and that, to show that it's not just one thing, it's another, and you do it for the good reasons, like you said, not to use it as a business or another side income. Almost, it's like a side hustle. Like right now, if I wanted to, Calvin, I guess I could go out and say, hey guys, this is my score, this is my thing, $500 get you through the door, bro. That's a slam dunk.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what people are doing. And it's turned into something that it shouldn't be. And but we'll see if this changes anything. I think that because the banks don't tell us that, how easy this stuff is, and sometimes you don't realize how easy things are. It's kind of like before TSA got as crazy as they did before September 11th. And it's kind of like, okay, how was it on September 10th? Like, was it that like, it was different back then, and now it's like, man, it's been so long, you've gotten used to it. But it's like this sometimes, someone has to exploit it in order for someone to say, okay, man, maybe this was too lenient, on a thing. So, but I think, that's why we give that information to people, so people need to know about these things.
No, I appreciate that. Well, I want to say a shout out to Yuri, who we met in New Orleans. Yuri's an amazing guy. A ton of credit cards, 4 passports. Wow. Yuri was just like, the G out there. So Yuri, good to have you here. Xavier said he wants to be signed up. Xavier, I'll send you my info. Okay, Papi? All I need is your social, Papa. We got this. We got this. Sylvia says, I think a firm after paying services like that have taken their spot, but those services can be dangerous credit-wise. It's true. You do a lot of these pushing off your money to pay later deals. It's still going to smack you in the head. Yeah. Eventually, right?
And they just released that too. That just came out. We're talking about that on my channel probably tomorrow, but a firm is now an option for Apple Pay. So they're pushing hard. Yeah. And of course, now they meant to do this earlier this year, but they knew that once they rolled that out on something that already has millions of users, Apple Pay, that's when they said the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, they said that if they're now going to start reporting payment history to credit reports, because people would get a firm and not pay them.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense. No.
Yeah, we always think about the good side of things. Like, of course, people are going to pay. But see, that's why I have to let people know not everyone pays. And since a lot of people were not paying, now they became collection companies. Then they start hiring collection companies, and they're saying, well, you're pretty much a financial institution now, so you have to report. I mean, you may as well report. It's borrowed money.
That's true. You know what?
Yeah.
Damn, that's true. Well, now I'm screwed, because Filmo was going to add me as an authorized user to his Venture X, because I can't get a Venture X if you pay me. And his price just went up. Wakavelli 29, how you doing? Thank you for being here. I got the Apple card and don't have any Apple products. Just gave the card to my mom. She's responsible with credit, so I let her run it up. It helps my credit when they give me credit increases. Hey, it's your mom, right? My dad helped me with that. My dad helped me build my credit, and that's what we do with our kids. I mean, you're doing the right thing. I get it. Yuri corrected me. He did have 5 passports. Kevin is right. Sometimes something can come out of nowhere. You're right.
Yeah.
Now, David Williams says, if I know Officer Papi, no, I don't. From the TV show Cops. No, I don't. He works in Patterson. No, Papi, I don't. There I go, Papi again. Are those services counted as revolving credit? That's a question. I have no
Yeah.
idea.
So I haven't
Affirm
seen.
and what was the other one? Affirm and
Yeah, Afterpay. Affirm, Afterpay. There's, I think it's another one. Klarna is a third one.
yes,
So
you're right. Klarna's. I've done
yeah.
it with. I've seen it with Express and clothing stores online,
Yeah.
Macy's and things like that. Yes, Klarna.
Yeah, I haven't seen enough credit reports with that on there as an option to, I don't know what it looks like, but yes, typically it would look like, well, so revolving credit is normally when the limit is revolving. Usually this would show up almost like a personal loan. Yeah, because it was a set amount borrowed, and then it was paid. And once you're done paying them, you're done. It's not like you can go back and use that same account again. So it's not a revolving line. It's more of a promise to pay. And it's something new. And this is why they added it to credit bureaus. So is it a way to build your credit? Yes, but I wouldn't do it to build your credit, if that makes sense. So don't do it just to, if you're going to get it, if you're doing it to do it, then just do it. But don't do it specifically to say, hey, I'm going to build my credit. Just want to make sure that makes sense.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. I have another question for you. Kevin's got to go. He's 18 years old. Kevin, Papi, God bless you. I'll see you next week. Thanks as always, Kevin, for popping in. I appreciate you. Sledge says, I'll finance your purchase for a slight fee when the title of your car.
Listen, pretty much that's what people saying yes to anything, man.
Now, let me ask you, because there's a little bit of I always get this question asked, and I want to make sure I answer it correctly for them.
Yep.
So with Amex, with the charge cards, so
Yep.
the platinum, the gold, the green, how does that affect you? Let's say you run up a charge for that month because you had a high spend, $10,000, and it's going to report. How does that report different from you putting 10,000 on another credit card?
Very good question. So usually with credit cards, you have like a regular revolving credit card. So a regular revolving credit card is you have a limit and then you have a balance, and then you're not supposed to go over that limit. If you go over the limit, there's an over the limit fee. You also risk them closing the account or lowering your limit. You also have utilization. Utilization is the second largest factor in what makes your credit score. So utilization is balance divided by limits. This is why if you look on the internet, it says don't go anything over 30%. I mean, that's fine. But if you really want to truly see how high your score can get while still using your credit cards, then you want to stay somewhere between about 2 to 7% utilization, no more than about 10. But at the end of the day, it all depends on what you're looking to do. So can you use your credit cards? Yes. If you use more than 10% or 30%, will it affect your score? Yes. So that's a short version. If you don't want to see much score fluctuation, then keep your percentages between 2 and 7. If you don't care at the moment, then do your thing, but just do know moving it does cause repercussions. That said, when you have a regular credit card, you're going to have utilization fluctuations. When you have a charge card, it's just balance due. So they report charge cards differently on credit reports than traditional credit cards. So for example, the balance that you have will just be the balance, and then they're making the monthly payments. And as they're making those monthly payments, they're just showing the payment history. So they're showing what the monthly payment is, what the balance is, but there technically isn't a limit. It will show a limit. The limit is typically the highest amount that you've charged in the last 48 months. So let's say if you charge that card up $1,000 but it was 3 years ago, that now shows up as the limit. The good news is utilization doesn't really factor in, into that, because it doesn't know that it's a charge card, but it's not in the algorithm as it's like a charge card. So that's how to show up.
No, and I appreciate that because, for instance, I just got the platinum business card, and to meet the spend to get your bonus points or whatever, you need to spend $15K in 3 months.
Wow.
So yeah, I met it in 1 week.
That's like business expenses at that point.
Right. But I met it in 1 week to help my family member out with an expense. And it's funny because I thought my score was going to take a hit but
Yeah, it didn't.
it didn't at all.
Yep.
So I get that question asked a lot, and I kind of answer it the way you just did.
Yeah.
And I guess the main thing is that there's no limit assigned, and that's why that utilization doesn't come up as much, which
Correct.
doesn't cause you the constant dips that you get with other cards. Correct?
Yeah. Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah.
So I want to say hi to Scooter here. Scooter, how you doing? Thank you for being here. Yuri says, if I have utilizations every month about the same amount, does it look like revolving credit to the banks? That's a good question.
Very good question. Yeah. So credit reports, let me phrase it like this. Credit accounts. So any credit card, any credit account in general, whether it's an auto loan, credit card, they all have different dates in which they report to the credit bureaus. And so let's say, for example, credit cards. So if you pay the credit card off before it reports to the bureaus, it'll always look like your balance is at zero. And so typically, since it's at a random date, some people, unless people actually look for that date, like it depends on how analytical you guys want to get into it. But to keep things very simple, if you credit cards, for example, if you care about what shows up on the credit report, which is obviously going to affect the algorithm, which is going to affect your score, then you most definitely want to find out what your statement date is. And that way, to have it zeroed out by the time the statement date hits, and then that is going to be next to the reporting date, and that's going to be on the credit report itself. So, and then a lot of people, if you have balances, that's why people pay their credit cards more than once. Sometimes people like doing that, but I mean, if you just keep it at zero or just keep it at a certain amount. Another thing you guys can do too is auto pay. Look at bills you already have, and then just see what you can put on auto pay. That way you can get monthly usage. You don't have to force yourself to remember to use the credit card, especially if you don't use the credit cards often. And then look for bills you already have. Don't look to get new things. A lot of times people say, oh, well, get gas, get groceries. Yeah, but sometimes people spend $100 a week on gas. And if their credit limit is like 500, that's not smart. So they get gas and they get groceries. I don't know about you guys. My groceries almost $300 a week in this house. So, you talking that plus, gas, that's $400 a week. $400 a week times, what's that? Was that $400 a week times 4? That's $1,600 a month. So again, should you be using a credit card is the question, so you got to know how it's going to affect it. But guys, it only really plays a role if you're trying to do something with your score. Don't get me wrong. Everyone has they want to have a good score, just in general, because you never know what can happen. Your car totals out. You got to get another car, whatever. Things like that happens, but just keep that in mind that if you really want to keep it, if you want to see the highs that your score can get, then just keep the balance as close as zero as possible before that statement date hits.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And then Yuri follows up with, I think Capital One likes to see revolving balances. Yeah, I think
every bank does.
Yeah, Capital One is like the king of subprime here. So, and then Sled says auto pay is your friend.
It's your friend. That's right.
Tech Yoda Ernest is in the house. Wepa Papi, how you doing? Thank you for being here today. I appreciate it, Papi, as always. Yuri says, I pay off every month in full, but I buy gift cards every month. So I have around 500 or many cards a month. Okay. No matter how many new and hip cards they issue, Cap One will always be a subprime lender that does subprime things. No, and that's true. I mean, Sylvia also says here, and this is a good point. So Amex does have like a pay over time deal with their charge cards, right?
Yeah.
Which sounds great in theory.
Yeah.
They club you over the head with the interest, with 20-something percent, whatever it is.
That's right.
It does give you a little bit of a breather if you need it.
Yeah.
But it then becomes just another credit card. And then if you let it rock and let it sit there, you just defeated the purpose of having a charge card that you're supposed to pay off at the end of every month. Am I correct on that, Calvin, or what do you think?
Yeah. So, it's one of those things where a lot of companies are now starting to copy that. And that's why you see them partnering with companies. It's saying, hey, let us deal with the drama that goes behind that. Because companies, if they do have, Chase has something like that, even outside of Afterpay and Klarna and, Affirm. So saying that to say, a lot of financial institutions are starting to copy that same process. But now you're doing the same thing again. You're collecting money. So you still got to get approved for it. It's not like they're going to come and take the item, So like with a car, you can go get the car. You can find the car. The car's not too far. The house ain't going nowhere. But them, Ray-Ban sunglasses, they wearing them. That 80-inch TV screen in the bathroom, they got that right on. They got it right next to the tub.
No, no, you're right. I mean, I think what happens is, and I'm always honest, brutally honest with everybody here. I tell them the good and the bad. So right now, personally, I'm at 26 cards. It gets harder with every card I add. I'm not gonna lie, because you want, we also know how this works, and you want to show certain cards some love and put some spend on that to keep everything kind of flowing. But then at some point, you just want to pull your hair because you're like, why did I do this to myself? Right.
Right.
Now, I'm also not the guy that likes the spreadsheets and all this other stuff. So I rely on apps to help, just to kind of keep things together. Lately, I've been using more CardPointers and Max Rewards.
Good.
Referral in the link below, guys. Don't forget. So, but those are the things that I use, because to be honest with you, even though everything is on auto pay, sometimes it's overwhelming, Calvin. Like, how many cards do you have, Papi? How many things do you have? Credit card wise?
Yeah. 6 or 7.
See, and that's what I had a feeling you were going to say. It was going to be under 10. I knew it.
It's never been a big deal. It's never been a big deal to my wife and I, really, to be honest. Our biggest thing was, always like looking for the next investment or something like that. We never really paid too much attention. But it wasn't until I started, I think, when I interviewed Sledge and I started looking at more like credit card content, because I was more so like, the basics, making sure stuff's paid on time, auto pay, stuff like that, making sure I knew the stuff to help people like rebuild their credit. But it wasn't until I started interviewing like people like you all, I was like, oh yeah, let me maximize these points. So now we got a nice amount of, you just start looking at, okay, like you almost like start setting goals. Okay, like, in order for me to like go to this place, kind of like what Key does. And so she says, hey, I want to take a trip once a month. I'm like, okay, you got to have a certain amount of points per month. So now that becomes a goal that you want to accomplish, with the cards or however you do it. And it's like, man, okay, it's not just cash back. Like it's time to start taking some trips.
No, and that's what, like, I call him the king of cashback, because he RJ Financial. That's his thing, and he'll say, I'll stay 20 minutes away from where we're supposed to meet up and walk, because I don't want to do X, Y, and Z. For him, it's the cashback. But then you have somebody like Key, that's travel, that she does. God bless. Like, it's just amazing to me that they're able to do all those things.
Absolutely.
Which is your favorite card? Which is your favorite travel card, and which is your favorite cashback card?
I've been had these for years. So Discover Cashback for that for sure. I think that that's probably been one of the easiest cashback cards that we've had for years. And then as far as like travel, my wife has like, oh man, at one point, I think the Southwest. I think that is going to be probably the best one, because we fly a lot through Southwest for sure. And so I think anything that has like an airline. I know, like, for example, I forgot who said it. I think it was I forgot who said this.
If it's airlines, Lonnie.
Yeah, probably was Lonnie. But I think, because I don't know, I can't remember if it was specifically him, but I know that a lot of people fly to Delta, and so a Delta card wouldn't do it for me, because we don't use too much Delta out here, so, but I think they were in Georgia, so it played, obviously that plays a different role, because there's a lot of Delta flying in and out. So again, it's just, that's what works for me, but again, like Sledge always says, look at like your lifestyle and then kind of go from there. And sometimes your lifestyle changes, but that was the biggest thing for us, was like, okay, cash back. And then now it's like points. And now it's because at first never really paid attention to the points, or we used them for like small stuff, like gift cards or something, until it got big. And it's like, man, let me start saving this stuff up for some flights. And now, and it's like, okay. And that's really what it is. It's just patience.
Right.
It's patience. Because anytime you get a new credit card, they're going to give you all the points up front. That's to kind of get, to kind of wet the whistle. And it's like, okay, let me build this back up again, so.
No, and so, all right, so you have the airline card. So you don't have an Amex Platinum. You don't have a Venture X.
Nope.
Wow. See, people, I want everybody out there to hear this man say he doesn't have that. He doesn't need that. And he's doing just fine.
Yeah. It's just by choice. I think nowadays everyone's kind of going into, don't get me wrong, you can have what works for you, have what works for you. And but I do know that it depends on what you're trying to do. Like I did a video, I forgot his name, and Money Codes is his name, and he was talking about credit card stacking, and a lot of people just want to know, how could I apply for multiple cards at one time, at one time preferably, but doing that multiple times strategically. And he was, a lot of people want to do that, especially for businesses that are trying to ramp up their funding. But what I'm learning is 80% of the people that look to do those types of things, they don't even know what they're going to do with the money. So it just really depends. So like when there's credit card content creators, then it's a little bit different because they're learning the cards and they're like, hey, you're going to get this card anyway. Let me tell you about it. Let me tell you what I like, what I don't like. And then you meet people like Key, where it's like, I have over 50 credit cards. It's like, wow, and people are managing these things. But at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you, So because at the end of the day, you got to pay those annual fees. You got to make sure that you're using them. If you're not, you got to make sure that you're paying them. You got to make sure that you're trying, like when you start getting $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 worth of available credit. I mean, I won't say it's tempting, but you got to make sure that you're keeping an eye on that stuff too, So a lot of that plays a role, So that's always been like kind of our take on it, for sure. But my biggest thing was always making sure that that people that we taught, they didn't go too deep into something. But then we started getting people that was like, well, you know what? I'm responsible. I can handle that. Teach me how I can handle that. So I was like, oh, well, Key, let's do a video on this. You got 50 credit cards. How in the world do you manage this? And people are like, oh my God, like I need to learn more from, so yeah, everyone's different. Everyone's different. It's good to know that the information's out there.
No, and right now, like Ernest says here, cash back to brokerage. I told people I canceled my membership to Robinhood because I don't really know how to do that. I don't know how to do brokerage. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. They have a card that gives you 3 times, but then you can move that money into an account. Would you do something like that?
I would. Yeah, that would. I don't see nothing wrong with that, especially cards like that. Like cards that go into something that like invest, or even if you don't like have like a because here's the thing, guys, we're getting older, so people that's watching this channel, it's not, I'm sure it's a handful of people that's in their 20s, but everyone's probably watching this. We're 30 plus. We have to start, like, we need to have the conversation more about retirement, about savings, about IRAs. I know it's boring stuff, but unless you want to work past 80, work past 70, like, I mean, this is real stuff. Like retirement's it's not the same. So we need to start putting stuff into things. We have to, like, we're getting past that point where it's kind of like, I don't know what to invest in. It's like, well, you have to find something. Otherwise, it's time, man, it flies. I just turned 36. I mean, I almost have to pull out a calculator sometimes to see how old I am, so
yeah. Tell me when you get to 57, bro.
Man, you got a point there. You got a point. So but I'm saying that to say, you got, man, it's a conversation that we don't want to talk about, or we feel embarrassed to talk about, or whatever the case may be. But it's like, it's not going anywhere. Like I tell my son, sometimes you just keep kicking the can down the road. And you're like, oh, I get to it later. Okay. So, and so, but to answer your question, that's why cards like that are an option, to at least start the process, so I say, but yeah, I would most definitely recommend something like that. Even if not just a credit card, you can also put into some high yield savings accounts as well too. This isn't an investing, conversation, but saying that, and I'm not giving financial advice on that level, but just saying there are a lot of things out there, that can do things automatically, while you guys are either using your debit cards, your credit cards, or how you're using your savings accounts.
All right. Well, before I get to the next question, mi gente, do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe. We have a lot of people online, but I only got like a few little likes.
They're watching the information. They're watching it. They're like,
and they are. And you know what, Calvin? I'm gonna keep it real. I would be remiss if I didn't give mi gente the plug that I give every week for the Ekster wallet in Wepa Red that they call it now. All right. So link in the description box below for the new Ekster wallet. Calvin, this wallet is fire, Calvin. All the nice little credit cards pop up there. Nice metal, RFID. Yeah, yeah. It's a fly wallet. So they just put out this red in the pro version, and Tariq called it Wepa Red.
Wepa Red. Wow.
Wepa Red.
Not Wepa Red.
So mi gente, check out the links as well for if you're looking for a new card. I have links there as well through Daily Drop. Please check them out, see if it works for you. But I want to answer Sylvia's question. The biggest obstacle you feel gets in the way of people you've counseled?
I think the biggest obstacle is them. Oh man, listen, Juan, we're most definitely gonna talk about this.
Yep.
I want to talk about. Let me
I
answer
know
a
you were going to
serious
say,
question.
yep.
Yeah. The biggest obstacle, honestly, the biggest obstacle is people thinking that they can't do something. A lot of times, the average person. I forgot what age it was, but I think they said that the average person from the time that they're born until the time that they're like 5 years old, maybe 10 years old, has heard the word no 200,000 times. And they've heard the word yes 70,000 times. So when a lot of our curiosity, a lot of our imagination, a lot of our belief system, a lot of that, man, it just disintegrates over time. And people just start setting goals. They stop believing in themselves because it's so easy not to. It's so easy to get around people and they say, "Oh, well, you can't do this." Ah, you're probably right. I probably can't do it. Because it's easier to just do that. Because it really takes more work to go actually do something. To finish a project, to start a project. A lot of people are starters. You got to start hanging around some finishers. Anybody can start something. So, and so saying that to say, I know, right? And I think that's really what it is. So like when I talk to people and they say, well, you know what, I want to go into homeownership. I'll say, okay, great. You know what? When do you want to go into homeownership? Oh, I'm probably thinking like 1 or 2 years. Really? Okay. Well, based on your credit report, I mean, and if you follow my game plan, you'll qualify in like 90 days or less. About 70% of the people that we do game plans for, they qualify for homes in 90 days or less. Because even if there were 400 scores, there was some in 400 credit scores, 500 credit scores. Some qualified, they didn't know it. Some were inches away. Some just need to do 1 or 2 or 3 things. And it's amazing to me because they say, and don't get me wrong, people don't know what they don't know. So we're not trying to rush anybody. But we're just saying, hey, based on how you look right now, in 90 days, you'll qualify for homeownership. And they just can't believe it. Or they say, well, you know what, Calvin, my car payment is killing me. How can I lower this car payment? I say, okay, do this. Then go to these websites, compare the numbers, and then lower your car payment. We had a client where their lease was up and they were paying about $1,600 a month on their lease. $1,600 on their lease. Really nice car, right? Because once cars get over 100,000, that's what the monthly payment is, man. Even over 80,000, So listen. Anyway, and it was like, man, you know what? The car payment wasn't necessarily killing them. They was just like, okay, rates are high, and my lease is up. What can I do? I said, you do know you can turn your lease into a purchase. We don't know what we don't know. And so I said, okay, let me show you how to do this. So they turned the lease into a purchase. Their car payment went down from $1,600 down to $900. Now that's an additional $500-$600 they can put somewhere else. So and again, it's more so we don't know these things. But listen, I challenge you right now. Give yourself permission to have more in life. I don't care what age you are. Don't forget how old Colonel Sanders was when he started Kentucky Fried Chicken. He was 55. We can't keep making excuses for everybody, So if they can do it, so can we. And the information's out there. This isn't back in the day. You get in trouble for reading. No, you can watch it on YouTube. You listen to a podcast. A library card is still free. We choose not to do certain things.
Damn. Damn. Bro, my hairs, I'm not even lying. My hairs are standing up because you're saying what people think and don't want to say to hurt somebody else's feelings or don't want to admit it if they fall into that category.
Yeah. And guys, this is tough love. We're only telling you this because think about it. I want you to think about this. If we didn't like you, we wouldn't tell you.
Yep.
We do this because we like you. We do this because we want you to be informed. This isn't just for views. Stuff like this doesn't get millions of views. Listen, me and Joe, we're not going to be twerking on the kitchen sink. We're not going to be doing that. We're going to be showing you all this information that's going to change your family's lives financially for the future.
But you said something that resonates with me more than anything else because I'm going to be 58 in a month.
Yeah.
I was known for one thing in my lifetime, and that was being a high school counselor, right?
Yep.
Then when I started going into credit cards, I had a lot of people criticizing me saying, oh, how could you do that? How could you, that's not you. Don't tell me I could be more than a one-trick pony. Like I could do whatever I set my mind to do. 100. And that's what I try to tell people that, like you said, if you're in your 30s and 40s, your life ain't over. It's just starting.
That's right.
Like you could start tomorrow something new and bang it out the box and get it done.
Absolutely.
I don't go to that other stuff that people just wallow and want that self-pity nonsense. That's trash. No.
Absolutely. And you know, another thing too, sometimes most people do mean well. Most people typically mean well, but then sometimes people don't want you to do something because they can't see themselves doing it. Or sometimes they really are happy for you. They're just mad because you did it before they did it.
Yep.
You know? And
Yep.
so, you know, when you start like breaking it down to like a kindergarten level, at the end of the day, you know, listen, at the end of the day, none of these people are going to be, you know, at our funerals anyway. So it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
No.
You know, and don't let it rain outside at the burial. Then you're really going to be pissed off at who shows up.
But I'm going to ask you this on a personal for you. You're so knowledgeable. You're so well schooled and educated. Be honest with me.
Yeah.
How many people that are close to you go to you for the advice or would rather go to somebody else because of that little bit of envy and whatever with you?
I've had close family members buy a house. My wife and I own a real estate company. We've helped thousands of people nationwide. But we have over 100,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. We have over 1,600 free videos. Free. And it baffles me sometimes what family does. Family, friends. And at first I thought it was me. I said, oh no, what am I not doing? It's got to be me. It's not me. It's them.
That's it. Thank you.
It's not me. I mean, and you know, it's crazy. Strangers are nicer to me. And it's not. And sometimes it's not envy. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just laziness. And listen, a lot of people want results from the work that they didn't put in. We all do. I want to walk past the gym, buff instantly. Doesn't happen. I've tried
it. God bless you. You know what? I appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
Yo, I want to see Juan, your answer to Juan's question.
Yeah. Let's get it, Juan. So listen, let me tell you something. Let me tell you guys something. In our lifetimes, we see major economic shifts. We saw one in the pandemic. That was an unplanned economic shift. Businesses thought that they were going to see those numbers all the time. There's no line outside of Gucci anymore. Okay? There's no line. And so that was an economic shift. And let me tell you all, this is the next economic shift. Big time. You don't have to have a recession to see these things. You can just with interest rates, but you got to make sure you're in position. So tomorrow's going to be crazy. If they announce that interest rates are coming down, even a quarter of a % is going to help people out big time. Now, granted, you know, when they announce the Fed rate cuts, it doesn't mean that it typically means every industry is going to be affected, but the numbers you see tomorrow won't be the numbers that affects the industry. It just affects everything that has to do with borrowed money as a whole, because mortgage rates gets their interest rates from the bond market. So it's a little bit different. But just know this, the short version is, if the rates come down, that means your car note needs to be refinanced. Not right away. I would say, listen, if you guys really want to, listen, the longer you wait, the better the rates are going to be. I think like tax season, they should be a little bit better. So you got pre-election, you got post-election, and then you're going to have tax season. They're going to need that boost because inflation is insane. If they stop, if the war stop, let me tell you guys something. And I'm not gonna get political. It has nothing.
Do what you got to do.
I'm just saying. No matter which side you pick from, that they cannot control inflation. What controls inflation is, I'm telling you, it's these wars. These people can't go to work. They're not in school. Like, we're living regular lives in America. These people, they would typically, like in Ukraine, I had no idea how much stuff we got from Ukraine. I had no idea. And then you have to get it from somewhere else. Now it costs more. Everyone has to get it from somewhere else. Everywhere else is not America. Some places are starving. So it's war. It's always war. It's always war. So either way, saying that to say, so this is going to be a little bit of a break. Make sure you guys are in position. So if you're looking to go into home ownership, it's going to cost you less now. If you're looking to get a car, it's going to cost you less now. If you're borrowing money to do something, it's going to cost you less to borrow that money. That's the short version of it. And you say, well, Calvin, how long should I wait? It's up to you. But keep in mind, what did you see in 2020 when rates were low? It was competition. So the lower the rates, the more competition is going to be. Okay. So right now it's going to be a little bit less competition. It's going to be a little bit of inventory left. But eventually, guess what? Then we're going to be back into 2019, 2020. where it's gonna be, we run out of inventory, you know, especially in the housing market or like in the car market. I don't think it's gonna be crazy. I think that happened because there was so many places that people could not spend their money. Now everything's back open, so you're not gonna see things go that crazy so soon. You know, it was like, well, I can't go to the club, I can't do this, I can't do that. So everyone just bought online. They bought houses, they bought cars, because that's all they could buy. That's all they could do is shop. So either way, we'll see how it goes, but it should be some great news coming out tomorrow.
And you know, to that point, so the flip side is then when the interest rates go down, then those people with the high yield savings account and stuff will see a drop on that side of it, correct?
Potentially, yeah, potentially. It just really depends, because the savings accounts are always a little bit different. Yes, it's always a little bit different with the savings. I really haven't figured that out. You know, I most definitely don't want to. Yeah, I know credit. We know credit in real estate, but trying to figure out this U.S. economy is weird. You know, sometimes. But
I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah,
you know what?
Yeah,
a lot of people will come here and just say something
nah.
for saying it, and then you know,
yeah.
God bless you. I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
James is asking here. James, how you doing, Papi? Thank you for being here. Do you think Chase will ever make changes to the Freedom Unlimited?
I don't think so. And not in a bad way. I don't understand it. I mean, I don't think so, to be honest. That's one of the easier cars that people start off with, you know, kind of like the Slate, you know, even with back in the day with the Slate, you know. So I wouldn't see too much change in there, you know, for sure. But as long as you guys have a like a checking account with them, things of that sort, you know, I wouldn't say that too much that I've seen is going to change, you know, with that particular card, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, Chase can do what Chase wants to do. It is what it is. People, everybody and their mother starts as like, that's my trifecta. That's this, that's that. You have the flex, the unlimited, and the preferred or the reserve.
Yep.
You know, they're at 1.5. Okay, would it be better being at 2? Of course. But do they have to revamp everything for just a 0.5? I doubt they're going to do that. You know, they could put their money in other things. So, you know, I don't think they're going to change it anytime soon. But you have Wakavelli 29, no limits. You can be what you want to be. Absolutely. Absolutely. Joshua is making fun of the $1,600 car payment. Michael says it'll help businesses more than us, but true. Stop the printing press, and then we could tackle inflation. Destabilizing forces around the globe will inevitably hit us here in the U.S. That's Sylvia. Again, Sylvia says she doesn't know. Sylvia always preaches. You know,
some dad duties. Come on, Chad. Forget them kids. No,
you know what, Chad? You only have 4 kids. Come on, man up, bro.
Ooh, not only
4. Papi, thank you for coming back, Chad.
That's a house full. That's no toilet paper.
Yuri saying the problem is the dollar loses in positions around the world, and those dollars return back to the U.S. That's why there's inflation.
Yeah, listen. One thing I know for sure is that, you know, when there's more love in the world, it works out. It works out better because people can see eye to eye. But you know, but hey, what do I know?
Michael, Chad has amazing videos. Chad, you got somebody else there. Guys, do me a favor. Everybody that's here, if you have a channel, throw it up there, please, so that people could look you up as well. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe like I asked, if you don't mind, mi gente. Sylvia has something. Does that mean that interest rates will go down on credit cards? Although no one should be paying interest on cards, especially nowadays.
Even though still, that is still, rates are coming down on credit cards, auto loans, personal loans, student loans, mortgage loans, anything in which you have to borrow money. Anything and everything in which you have to borrow money.
Yeah, because I noticed even with Capital One on some of their new mailings and literature, they're not showing 30.74 anymore. They're like 29, you know, and I'm guessing they might go down to 28, you know, or whatever. But you're right. I don't see them going up the other way, you know? So,
yeah.
But now I know you got to go, Calvin. But is there anything you want to touch upon and wrap up with everyone today?
Yeah. You know what? Of course, gotta give shout out to Joe for having me on. Greatly appreciated as well too. Make sure you guys go ahead and look up the 850 Club Credit channel inside of YouTube. And there's always great information that's there as we are continuing our credit journey. So of course, we always talk about credit cards here when we're talking to Joe. But if you guys want to dig deeper outside of credit, make sure you guys go ahead and do that as well. But 850 Club Credit is in the house, and we appreciate the invite.
Yeah, and I'm thank you for putting, so let me ask you, where do you cover your real estate? Just in your area, or how? Like, if people wanted to reach out to you for real estate, seriously,
Yeah. So okay. Yeah. So for real estate, we can help you real estate nationwide. So we actually have a program in which we help you. So it really depends on where you are, not like where you are physically. If you're in the United States nationwide, we can help you. And I'll go ahead and put the link in there inside the
please.
chat as well too, so you guys can get that information as well too. But the short version is that we can help you qualify for homeownership. So if you guys have a goal to go into homeownership, then you can most definitely do that as well. I'm going to put that inside the chat as well too. Oh yeah, so I don't think it will let me do it that way, but either way, so just go to 850 Club, you'll see it. We also have we have a YouTube channel called Easy Homeowner. Okay, and now Easy Homeowner has house tours in Illinois, but if you go to the live section, like our live stream, that's where we have our home buyer education. Okay, so you most definitely could get more resources there as well. But if you're looking to go into homeownership and you don't qualify, we can create a custom game plan for you to help you qualify. And then if you're looking to go into homeownership, you got a few questions, or even if you're looking to go into homeownership and you're ready, just reach out to us and we can help you. So I'll put the email in there as well, so you guys can see that. And but that's all I have for you guys today.
Calvin, I want to thank you because as Michael here says, Calvin is amazing, very smart young man with great content. I want to thank you for helping everyone out realize their dreams because, as everyone, whether they want to admit or not, the dream is to have your own place, to have your own, to be financially set, right? That you don't have to stress it, that you could retire younger and not wait till you 75, 80 and rely on Social Security. So, what you give us is just so much information, and especially, and I beat this to death because it's the honest to God truth, is that people of color that don't get this info on a regular basis have it at their fingertips here and going to your channel and finding that out. And I really want to thank you, for that. Look, even Sylvia says, thanks, Calvin, for bringing us all to the front of the congregation. It really does mean a lot to me to have you here and do this, because you come from a whole other background and perspective, and you're bringing people just this, like everybody says, gems. And I thank you because I know you're a busy guy and you've been on with me twice already. And, we recorded last week for your channel, and I'm honored to be a part of that. And I want to thank you for that. So Papi, if there's ever anything I can do on this side for you, you got me. And I appreciate everything you do for all of us here and for everybody in this community. So absolutely. I appreciate you being here. God bless you and the family. Happy birthday again. For those of you that just joined, Calvin just turned 36 on the 15th. He's still a baby.
Right.
So, look at that. Look, no wrinkles, no bags,
right.
flawless skin. What the hell? It's not a fair fight, guys. It's not a fair fight,
Yeah.
But, we love you. God bless you, my friend. Mi gente, you could be anywhere else, but you chose to be here. We appreciate you. But more than anything else, Calvin and I appreciate the privilege of your time. Until next week, mi gente. Next week I have, and you'll like this one, Calvin. Tasha's going to be here from Major Change Group. She's going to be
what's up. That's
She's
what's
gonna
up.
be in La Casa. So, we're going to have a blast. People come through next week. God bless you, mi gente. Calvin, I love you. God bless you, Papi.
Same here, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, appreciate the invite as well, too. Listen, Karen said she has jewelry older than me. Wow. I'm getting off, man. I'm getting off.
Karen is the movie. I love Karen. Karen is, oh my God. Yo, Karen, awesome. I just barely, my credit card is almost his age. It's 35.
Man, see? That's crazy. All right, then I'll see you guys on the next time, okay? Have a good one.
Take care, puppy. Later.
All right.